Hi, this is Greg McLaughlin from the Rebel Base Card Podcast, and you are listening to Star Wars Reactions, elegant discussion for a more civilized age.
There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?
In 1977, George Lucas formed a legacy.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
Inspired by mythology, his saga has become a passion for many.
Feel the Force around you.
His legend has become our story.
It's true. All of it.
One of resistance,
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the first order down.
rebellion,
Rebellion is built on hope.
and redemption.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is Star Wars Reactions.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.
Well, hello and welcome to Star Wars Reactions. We are so glad you're joining us again. We got a great episode for you, and let's get the introduction out of the way so we can have some fun. My name is Aaron Harrison. Joining me, and this is a great guy. He's awesome. You gotta love him. He's the David Motters. David, brother, what's up?
What's up? Well, what's up is that you and I are back to record more on Tales of the Empire. And so I am ready to react and ready to discuss another arc of this really cool mini-series, mini episodes.
Absolutely. This is going to be great. As if you've listened to our last episode, of course, that would have been episode 174. We discussed the arc about Morgan Elsbeth, which was a part of the Tales of the Empire series. This week, we are talking about the 3-episode arc about Barriss Offee. So this is going to be great, and let's just jump right into this discussion because there's a lot to talk about here. 3 episodes. First one was entitled Devoted. Of course, all of these were released on May 4th of 2024, aka Star Wars Day. All of these stories were developed by the fabulous Dave Filoni for Presidente, as if you didn't know already. And then, of course, the first one, entitled Devoted, was directed by Saul Ruiz and was written by Nicolas Anastasio, while the next episode was titled Realization, directed by Stuart Lee, written by Matt Michnovitz, and Way Out, the final episode of the arc, directed by Nate Villanueva, and of course written again by Matt Michnovitz. Hey, I got it right this time.
Nice.
It took me some time, but I finally got the dude's name right. Watch out, I'm going to find out I actually got it wrong at some point. But anyway, great stories. So let's take a look at this. Of course, Devoted basically is the story of Barriss Offee being busted out of prison to go through some tests to see if she will become a new Inquisitor at the beginning of the Empire. Realization is on a mission to hunt a Jedi fugitive. Complications change Barriss's forever.
Yeah.
And of course, the way out, a shadow from Barriss's past catches up with her. Guess what? It's not Ahsoka. So let's jump into this. I'm going to kick us off on our initial reaction. So this time, since you did the last time, I'll do this time. So for me, as I've mentioned in our previous episode, and if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to it. You'll know what I'm talking. You'll know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to rehash it here, but I do have an issue with the series title, Tales of the Empire, when it comes to matching the episodes that we were given. And definitely the same goes for the Barriss Offee arc. But I got to say, these stories were great. Again, it's not a story that I I thought I wanted to see, but it was good. It was not I mean, if you'd have given me a list of characters saying we're going to do a Tales of, Barriss Offee wouldn't have been on my list. But I'm glad they put her on the list because it gave us a great story and it let us know what happened to a character that we last saw at the end of season 5 of Clone Wars. So we never knew what happened to her, but now we know she was recruited by the Inquisitors. She became an Inquisitor and she left the Inquisitors. So, I mean, it's a full arc. And what I loved about this arc is it's a redemption journey. And Star Wars is all about redemption. And I love the fact that they put a redemption story in Barriss's arc. To me, it was just perfect Star Wars because of that redemption journey. How about you, David? What about your initial reactions?
Well, yeah, I really enjoyed these as well. I agree with you. I didn't think about her. I mean, I absolutely enjoyed that arc where she frames, Ahsoka for the bombing of the Jedi Temple. She is, she took a stance that, the Jedi were wrong. And it's interesting because what I think about with her, and you see it in the second episode realization is, oh, wait, there was confusion, right? And the Empire, the opposite of the Jedi, isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. Oh, wait, there's humans involved on this side. So guess what? There's problems. And like you said, it's great to see by the end that the way out is not necessarily about her, but for Lynn, right? The fourth sister, and trying to help her find her way out from that confusion. And so I just, again, just like with the other series, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. When I think about these episodes, I think the confusion that we see in Lynn, and obviously the clarity of thought that Barriss gets in the second episode, realization, I feel like there's a lot of confusion, in Americans, and what's right, what's wrong, is the news true, what can you believe, etc. And so yeah, we have two arcs here that really mirror real life right now. So again, it's so applicable, this arc, just like the previous one that we covered last week.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm glad you said that, because there is a lot of things going on in this episode. And oh man, let's just jump into it with our talking points. The imagery in this episode was just absolutely incredible.
Yes.
I mean, it was just, oh my gosh. It is insane, the imagery in this, from her being in her cell, to being told by the troopers, be glad you're not a Jedi anymore, to looking out the little window in her cell and seeing the temple burning, being taken to the Fortress Inquisitors, and it's under construction.
Yes.
The room with all the lightsaber hilts.
Mm-hmm.
One position in the Inquisitors, and having your two recruits fight each other to the death for that opening.
Yeah.
I mean, just everything in this. The cave at the end of the way out. Everything in this was just screaming symbolism and everything. It was just, the imagery was just powerful. And what are your thoughts on this? Because I know you have to have some, my friend. What are you, because you're the one that put it in the notes before I could. So what are your thoughts on the powerful imagery?
Yeah. Well,
animated in these episodes?
Yeah, like I was thinking in the first arc, maybe one of the most powerful scenes is the end of that first one, The Path of Fear, where we see a young Morgan Elsbeth with, all the fire and flame behind her, so powerful. But all of these, there was just more in these 3 episodes, in my opinion. But like that angle, again, another angle that Barriss Offee sees the Jedi Temple. It reminds me of Padme, you know, looking over there. It just, I don't know, the different angles we saw in Revenge of the Sith and the music playing, and just, it's so sad, you know, what's happening there, what Anakin's doing, you know, of course, you know, Obi-Wan and Yoda are trying to figure out what's going on. And just to see that imagery of the Jedi Temple in smoke in episode 3 and now in this episode just really strikes me so emotionally moving. And really what Lucas was going for, that real sadness towards the end of episode 3. I put in Fortress Inquisitorius because, you know, we see it fully built in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. But here, what I loved, and I don't know if you noticed it, brother, you probably did. I think a lot of people did, especially when I watched it a second, maybe a third time, is when you looked at it, you're like, wait, that's Fortress Inquisitorius. But, oh, look at the little welding, little flashes of, you know, it's just blink, you know, and you could see kind of, you know, that welding and building was going on. And I thought it was just so subtle, you know, just so subtle how they did that to just kind of clue you in that this is early in the time after episode 66, and how, you know, the Emperor and Vader are building up the Inquisitorius, and here they are building a place for the Inquisitors. So I thought that was so cool. You know, back when we saw the Kenobi series, there is a scene where you see a bunch of lightsaber hilts, and you don't really see it very well in there. But in these episodes, when you see all those hilts, you're so sad. You know, you're like, oh my gosh, this is not good. And then, and of course, the imagery in the 3rd episode in the cave where Lynn can't find her way out, and you know, of course, you know, starting with the, you know, the imagery we saw in 1980 from The Empire Strikes Back, with Luke going into the cave. So all of it, I just thought tied in so well, but emotionally moving. Not just beautiful imagery, but emotionally moving imagery.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it definitely was. And what goes right along with that powerful imagery is the incredible lighting in the episode. Throughout, or not even the episode, but in all 3 of these episodes. Because if you noticed, and if you paid attention during the very first episode, Devoted, it is a very dark episode. Everything is dark, everything is dreary. It's the dark side. It's the Inquisitorius, it's the Inquisitors, it's the trials of the Inquisitors, the jail. This is the dark side of Barriss. Then when we get to the 2nd episode, Realization, it's still a little dark, but it's not as dark as it's brightened up a little bit, because we're starting to see her question the things that they're doing. And to completely, by the end of it, it's a brighter day, and she has turned on Lynn, or AKA the 4th sister. Whereas The Way Out, it's a bright episode. It's on a white planet, snowy planet. There is sun, there is light, and it speaks to the redemption of Barriss. And I love the symbolism in the lighting of these episodes to go right along with the storytelling.
No, I like how you said that, because I really thought about the imagery, like I said, in the Jedi Temple, Fortress Inquisitorius, lightsaber hilts in the cave. And I really like how you described that over those 3 episodes. That's really, really well said.
Yeah, Joel Aaron and his team did a incredible job lighting these episodes, which it's weird to say because we're talking about an animated show, but they do have lighting, the way they light the episodes, and they did an incredible job doing that in these episodes, because it contributed so much to the storytelling of this.
Yeah. Well, there's even little stuff like in that cave, like you'll see little flakes of snow, and you'll see that he's been doing that in, different episodes, even in that last Siege of Mandalore arc. Joel Aaron's just showing off like all the things he can do in explosions, in fires, and lighting, and even in, just little flecks of snow. Being raised up north, and seeing how he did the snow inside the cave. Not it's not snowing, but just like it's just little crystallized stuff in the air. He nailed it. He's just showing off at this point and doing it in a great way.
Absolutely. He definitely is. It was incredible to see how it was done. And so good. So good. And of course I'd be dismissed if I didn't say the music rocked.
Oh, it did.
Kiner killed it.
Oh,
Kiners,
so
they
good.
killed it. Fantastic. Just let me know when these albums are released. I'll download those as well. Which, by the way, if you weren't aware, the 3rd and 4th seasons of Rebels finally got released soundtrack wise.
Oh, wow.
I saw it online last week. So they're on all your streaming music things, Apple Music, Spotify, all those. So off topic, but there you go. It's out there. I was stoked. Voila. Anywho.
Wow. Yeah.
It's out there. So let's keep going here. We're talking about Barriss here. And we see, of course, like I mentioned in the opening, we see the struggle, the fight for survival that Barriss is going through in the first episode, Devoted, especially when they are put in the shrinking ray shielded area and are forced to fight to the death.
Right.
We see there's one lightsaber tossed in, the shield goes up, and then it's a fight for the saber. And of course, Barriss does not get the saber, but she wins the fight using the Force.
Mm-hmm.
And not just the Force. She choked the guy and broke his neck.
Yeah. Throw him in the pit in the center where
the
force field's pushing him towards that pit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, that was dark.
It was. Yeah. I always felt like, it seems like in other, you got to help me here, buddy. Like in some of the novels or the movies or some of the animated shows, like Jedi just don't use the Force choke. Like when you do that, you're moving over towards the dark side. And so I thought her using that really was kind of like a perfect indicator to us that she, had tapped into that. And then of course we see how the episode ends. Like you'd mentioned before, it's her then joining it. Of course, she quickly has realization in the second episode, realization of what they're all about. But I thought, Dave Filoni and the writers using Force choke was pretty appropriate, right? I mean, the only other thing that would really indicate you've joined it is like you got like Dooku, Force lightning coming out of the end of your fingers, But yeah, so I thought that was well done, and it was dark, like you said, really dark.
Yeah, the Force choke is unique because it's like you said, it's attributed to the dark side, because Vader's always choking out people that displease him. That's where we saw it for the first time in Empire Strikes Back. He was choking people from across the ship. You displeased me for the last time. Crash your Lyranex through a hollow screen. So we saw that, but at the same time, it's obviously something the Jedi can do because we see Luke do it in Return of the Jedi.
Right.
To the Gamorrean guards. Right. So then that leads to a completely different discussion for another time. Was Luke using a power available Jedi, or was he tapping into the dark side to do that?
Right. That was the worry, right? Because he was dressed in black too.
Exactly.
In a Jabba's palace. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that is a discussion for another time in another episode.
Yes.
So But fantastic. And of course, Barriss wins the fight and joins the Inquisitors. And as she meets her new master for the first time, aka Darth Vader, aka Anakin Skywalker, who beat her down at the end of season 5 of the Clone Wars and threw her in jail, we find out, which of course she doesn't know it's Anakin. We see her with her fellow Inquisitors, which of course includes Lynn Rakish, aka the fourth sister. We surprisingly see Marok from the Ahsoka series.
Yes, yeah.
So he is there as one of the first Inquisitors. Then, of course, we have an Inquisitor we don't know the name of, but we have seen before. He's listed in the credits as just the Inquisitor, an Inquisitor, but we see him in the episode entitled Resolve of Tales of the Jedi. It is the one that was hunting Ahsoka in that episode, and she ended up taking him down.
Yeah.
So fantastic. It was fun to see them, to see this early group. And of course, we had the Grand Inquisitor, which we know from Rebels and, of course, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. It was funny too. I was kind of disconnecting for the first time I watched it, because we had the Grand Inquisitor and he looked more like the Rebels version, but he sounded more like the Kenobi version.
Well, no, and it's Jason Isaac, right?
He did it in Rebels, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he didn't do it in this, did he?
Yeah, that's him.
Did he?
Yeah.
No kidding. I don't know.
Wait, I took a picture of all the end credits. I did this on purpose. Hold on. So if we get to it,
I'm scrolling IMDb right now.
Yep, Jason Isaacs, Grand Inquisitor.
Son of a gun.
Yeah,
it was Jason Isaacs. So it was the same guy who did it in Rebels.
Yes, that's why
it just sounded different.
Yeah. Yep.
It sounded different. Wow, I never would have guessed that was Jason Isaac in a million years.
So you felt like it was more of that. Was it Rupert Friend who played?
Yes.
It? Yeah.
It sounded more like Rupert than it did Jason for me. Because when Jason did it in Rebels, there was a lot more. There was a distinctive tone and arrogance that how he carried himself.
Yes.
In that. That I wasn't getting from this portrayal.
Yeah.
That's why and that's why when I was listening to it, I'm like, okay, so we got the old Inquisitor look with the new Inquisitor voice. Never would have guessed it was Jason Isaac. Wow. My mind is totally blown right now.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I'll say a couple things. One, it's interesting, Merrick from Ahsoka, we see him turn into green mist, right? Mm-hmm. And then what I did is when I was doing some of the show notes, you and I put them together. We put different information in. I'm like, wait, I want to go watch the end credits for that Tales of the Jedi episode Resolve with Ahsoka when she does defeat that Inquisitor. And in the end credits, it's just listed as Inquisitor. They didn't name him as a first, second, third, fourth brother, that kind of, just Inquisitor, and voiced by Clancy Brown, under a lot of, kind of synth kind of stuff. But what was interesting is I remember in that fight when Ahsoka defeats him, he just kind of dissipates too, doesn't he? Remember that?
Yeah.
And kind of like, what's going on there? And so I do wonder, because we know we see Lynn Rakish, fourth sister, we see the Grand Inquisitor, we see Barriss, but this Merrick and the other guy with the kind of the bird beak, and he's defeated by Ahsoka, they both disappear quite easily. And you're like, what? I don't know. What is that? What's going on? I'm not quite sure. And I think Dave might have more to tell us about that, because, when we see, who was I going to say? When you see the Grand Inquisitor die, it's not just in a poof of smoke. I mean, obviously, Kanan defeats him and stuff, but it's kind of an interesting little thing that I noticed that similarity. And I need to go back and watch it. I don't think the one in Resolve where Ahsoka defeats him, I don't know that it's green mist. I need to go back and look, but
that's what it looks like,
but I'm just wondering if they're like Inquisitors who have, I don't know, like in some way, do they come over by some dark magic, maybe that, I don't know that maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to piece that together. Don't quite understand why those two disappear like that. Anyway, something to think about. Also, by the way, that model for Vader was incredible looking. When you saw him turn around and sit down, you're like, holy crow.
Oh yeah, it was good.
Really cool. So just wanted to say that too.
And I'm beating myself up right now because I should have looked at the IMDb cast list before we recorded our reviews of these episodes, and I didn't.
Okay.
But this is a star-studded cast. You realize that, right? Yeah, of course. We talked about Jason Isaacs.
Yep. Yeah.
And being the Grand Inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
They brought back Warwick Davis for Rook in the Morgan Elsbeth episodes.
Yes.
And we had, of course, D. Bradley Baker, the clones. Anna Graves did a voice in this. She was one of the attendants in, she was one of the attendants in The Way Out.
Yep. There's Anna Graves. Yep.
And Matt Wood, of course, was Grievous. We knew that. Lars Mikkelsen was Thrawn. Of course, they brought Katie Sackhoff in for Bo-Katan. Susie McGrath.
Yes.
Tamra Vora was Morgan Elsbeth's mother.
Yeah. Well, no, she plays the mother of the little kid.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, you're right.
Yes,
sorry.
there's mother and father with this Force-sensitive kid that they bring to Barriss. So yes.
Sorry.
So yes, Susie, of course, you and I talked about her all the time when we covered Resistance.
Shelby Young.
Yep, Shelby Young
was the Republic ambassador. Steve Bloom, aka Zeb, was in this as one of the Republic guards. And then, of course, Lynn Rakish, the fourth sister, was actually voiced by the same actress who played her in Kenobi.
Exactly. She didn't say much, but that's her.
I'm beating myself. I apologize now, David, and to everybody listening that I apparently did not complete my homework on this as I should have, and I apologize.
Well, and Lars Mikkelsen is Thrawn. And then Wing T. Chow plays Wing animated, but he actually played Wing in the episode of Mandalorian there.
Yeah.
So they got everybody here, Man.
It's just I'm dumbfounded right now. So man, fabulous. So let's hit our last talking points so we can go into our final reactions and wrap things up here. Of course, we see in the second episode, Barriss Offee, of course, sees the fourth sister killing all the innocent people, and comes to the realization that she's in no better position than she was before. The Empire is no better than the Jedi. It's actually a lot worse than the Jedi, because Jedi weren't killing innocent civilians for no reason.
Yeah.
And of course, that leads her to her fight with the fourth sister, aka Lynn, and her departure from there. Then, of course, we see her as this aged Barriss Offee in the final episode, Way Out. She has become a healer, using her force powers for healing and doing good, which is where her redemption comes in. And of course, we see Lynn show up chasing somebody that Barriss is protecting, and they get into one last somewhat of a conflict, but it's more of a mind game with this cave. And Lynn is stressed out. Fourth sister is stressed out, ends up lashing out at everything and anything, and ends up hitting Barriss.
Yeah.
So the question is Barriss Offee alive or dead?
Oh boy, that this is Dave Filoni for president at his best, right? Leaving you guessing. You could argue either way, right?
Yeah.
I don't. I'm trying to figure out which way I lean. I know he doesn't like killing off his characters, so I will lean towards she's still alive. How about you?
It's hard to say. It is hard to say because we don't know really where in the timeline this falls. Is this post Kenobi or is it pre Kenobi? So is this something that if it's post Kenobi, does this mean we now have a redemption story for Lynn because she struck out and killed Barriss, or injured Barriss?
And does she leave the Inquisitors? Right. Right.
Yes. Yeah. Or is this prior to Kenobi and Barriss is in one of those chambers we saw in Kenobi?
Right.
So
right.
We don't know.
Right. Right.
We don't know. So thank you, Dave, for leaving us with more questions than answers. That's Dave Filoni, not Dave Motters.
Right. Exactly. I was
So,
gonna say,
but
yeah,
anyhow.
Good job with that. Yeah.
Anyhow. Anything else you want to go over before we jump into final reactions, brother?
I guess just maybe the question is who is Barriss sending the parents and this young child to? I think she said that she'll be able to help you, if I remember that correctly.
She does.
So I don't know. Is that Ahsoka? Is it? I don't know. I had thoughts on that. Who would she send them to?
Well, your first gut reaction would be Ahsoka,
Right.
but we don't know where Ahsoka is at this time frame because we don't know where in the time frame we are.
Right.
I am thinking it's somebody with the underground that's helping the Jedi escape.
Well, right.
Like we saw in Kenobi.
Yeah. And what was her name? I can see her right now. Yeah. She dies, but she helps Obi-Wan, and I was wondering second if it was her. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of where I am leaning, that it was one of those characters.
Yes.
It may not even be somebody from a character we know. It could be somebody connected with that underground, because it is definitely it's definitely somebody connected to, I want to say connected to that, because it's they want to help this child escape.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not getting the feeling that we have an active rebellion yet, so they wouldn't have sent her to the rebellion, but
right.
I'm thinking it's somebody from
the path,
the path, the hidden path.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right. I just was curious what you thought. So that was my last little thing. So
understand. So, well, with that wraps up our final our talking points. We're just going to go ahead and jump into final reactions. David, you want to kick off final reactions?
Yeah, I kind of want to, mirror what I did with final reactions last week, and how the titles really lead into my psychology factoid, and in particular, The Way Out. And I really thought that was really cool. I enjoyed how it ended. I love the progression, seeing Barriss's redemption, potentially seeing Lynn, the Four Sisters as well. And I really enjoyed this arc. I loved the imagery, like we talked about. Incredibly powerful, incredibly moving and emotional. And like I said, in just a minute or two here, I'll really bounce off of the last episode's title, "The Way Out," in my little psychology factoid. So again, the titles of these episodes have really set me up to do a fun little psychology factoid. So overall, enjoyed this arc just as much as the other one. And well done, Dave Filoni, for president.
Very good. Very good. For me, like I said, great story. It's not one I knew I wanted, but it was a pleasant surprise, and it was a good story. Like I said before, I don't feel it fits the title of the series, but that's here or there. It doesn't take away from the story itself. The story was well told, well animated, well portrayed, and excellently executed. Absolutely loved the arc. It was great. I really hope that they continue this Tales of series, because it is quite enjoyable to get little stories that we would never get otherwise, because it's nothing that we would normally get. So, but well done. I enjoyed it. I liked it. So, and of course, we want to hear from you and hear what your thoughts are on the Barriss Offee arc of Tales of the Empire, or of Tales of the Empire overall. Of course, you can hit us up on any of our social media, Facebook and X at SW Reactions Pod. We're on Instagram and Threads and Blue Sky and holy snot, I forgot, Carabast, TikTok and YouTube and Tumblr. All at SW Reactions. And of course, you can email us swreactions@gmail.com, or leave us a voicemail at starwarsreactions@speakpipe.com. Wow. Anywho, David, factoid time, my brother. Take it away.
Definitely. Just before I jump in the factoid, I wanted to say I hope everyone's enjoying what Aaron's doing on our social media accounts. And when he does the peels away each day on the Star Wars calendar, I think it's really cool. I love the music that you have with it. So well done, my friend. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. So, okay. So I wanted to continue on from where I left off in my last psychology factoid, or really mini psychology corner, in our last episode. I talked about fight or flight. And in particular, I talked about how, fear can lead to the fight or flight, and how we're seeing a lot of Americans aggressive and fighting. Well, anxiety and fear, not only leads to anger and anger to hate, but also know that anxiety wants to shrink your world. That's the flight aspect of fight or flight response. Another way to look at flight is avoidance. And so really, for over 30 years, I've worked with clients to help them stop and reverse anxiety from shrinking their worlds, right? I don't want to go on a plane. I don't want to go there. I don't want to leave my home. I can't drive on highways. I can't be exposed to this. I can't shake hands with people, or my hands will be contaminated. Again, everything about shrinking people's worlds. So it's interesting. I just mentioned that the title of the last episode of this arc for Barriss Offee is called No Way Out. And you hear Lynn, the four sisters, say, there is no way out. And Barriss responded that, quote, that is what the Empire wants you to think. And what I want you to know, our listeners, is that anxiety wants you to think the same thing. There's no way out, right? But there is. And again, if people go back and listen to a lot of our episodes when I went through, psychology corners, I talked a lot about different ways to deal with anxiety. And, one of the things I've talked about a few times is ERP, exposure and response prevention. And what this technique does is it specifically addresses anxiety wanting to shrink our world. It expands our world out. And so Aaron remembers this, and maybe our listeners do. Just a real quick example. Exposure and response prevention with people who think their hands are contaminated. They want to wash their hands, right? They have the obsession, my hands are contaminated. The compulsion, obsessive compulsive, is to wash their hands. What we do in ERP is we expose these individuals to what they're fearful of, right? Instead of avoiding it, right? That's the flight response, avoidance. We have them approach, get their hands dirty, and then the response prevention is preventing people from doing what they want to do, which is wash their hands. By doing that, it increases their anxiety, but then it ultimately goes down. And now we've expanded their world. They're not so fearful to socialize, shake hands, to, hug people and actually be social and live a social life. So I just wanted to give a quick comment on that and a quick example of ERP. That's just one of many examples of how we can apply that. But I just again would say that last week's arc really speaks to the fight response, and this week's arc really speaks to the flight response related to anxiety and fear. So again, these episodes just set me up perfectly. Dave just lobbed me a softball, both arcs. So thank you, Dave Filoni, for president.
Very good. Very good. And of course, if people want to talk to you about your factoid or about your factoid or talk to you about Star Wars in general, how would they go about doing that?
Absolutely. Twitter X, it is at David_Modders, Modders. There's an S on the end. And let's see, Instagram is just my name. I haven't been posting a lot there. Not sure why, but I don't know. Maybe we'll throw some Star Wars stuff up there. I'm at Blue Sky. And then, like I've been mentioning in previous episodes, if people write in an email to our Gmail, right? StarWarsReactions@gmail.com. They can get a hold of me there or any of our socials because Aaron's all over those. So a lot of different ways.
Very good. Very good. And of course, if you want to get a hold of me, the best place is on my X account at TA Harris 121079. Or of course, any of the show information you contact will come to me and we will discuss together what's going on. So yes, so that is it. Well, my friend, you know what time it is.
I do know what time it is.
Yes, it is. It is time for our Star Wars dad joke of the week, folks. And we got a great one for you. Again, this one also submitted in the same email by our pal, Adam Young. So we appreciate you, pal. And I told you I was going to be using these when I emailed you back. So you shouldn't be surprised, my friend. But here we go. We're going with this one. Are you ready, David?
I am ready.
Did you hear Chewbacca used to live in Wisconsin?
No, I didn't know that Chewbacca used to live in Wisconsin.
Yep, sure did. He's from Milwaukee.
Oh my. So again, so bad it's so good.
Milwaukee. Love it.
God. Oh my gosh.
Well, David, my friend, this has been a blast, sir.
Well, it was. That was the great way to end this episode.
It was. We are so excited. We appreciate each and every one of y'all. Y'all are the best. You're the greatest. We love y'all. We're praying for y'all. Thank y'all for listening in and week out. Y'all don't know what it means to us to have y'all join us on this journey. Thank you so much. Remember the year of kindness. Just go out, do something kind for somebody this week. Make a difference in their life. Because like I said in our last episode, the smallest thing will make a difference. And you'll never know until you do it. So remember, this is your place for elegant discussion for a more civilized age.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or by Lucasfilm Limited. It's intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars. All names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and the respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Star Wars Reactions unless otherwise indicated. Star Wars Reactions, elegant discussion for a more civilized age.